this is the shirt I'm going to be wearing fight night, guys. So hopefully that tells you the type of energy I'm bringing to this video, because this is such an interesting fight to break down and to even think about. I love this fight so much, and man, these last few cards have been so dry and weak that this fight, I'm like salivating for it. This fight, it reignites the passion I have for MMA. You know what I mean? I know a few of you guys are feeling that way as well, because man, these last few fight nights, the last pay-per-view, they've not been great. So this fight card is gonna hit like some crack, all right? And I'm gonna be breaking down this fight and the other big fights on this card, as well as a full card prediction video. As far as when, not in this video, all right, but I will be doing them before the fight night. And of course, my full card predictions will also be on my Instagram, which you can follow. I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. So go ahead and follow me on Instagram for more predictions, more content, and overall more stuff. Anyways, guys, also like and subscribe. All right, let's get that out of the way. Now, with that being said, let's get into this fight. Let me get my slideshow on the screen. All right, listen, guys, I tried a new slideshow program today. I tried Canva, all right, instead. So as we can see here, I say I love Volkanovski, but there's too much going against him. All right. Yeah, this is mainly just my thumbnail. Let's get into my breakdown for this fight. The first thing we're going to be going over is the pros and cons of both fighters. Okay, this is something that I did in my early prediction videos, but I haven't done in a long time, and I don't know why I stopped doing this. I like this format. I like doing things like this. Let's get into the pros and cons before I give my prediction and breakdown on the fight, just so we know what we're getting into here. Volkanovski, all right? We all know Volk. We all love Volk, all right? Anyone with a good brain should love Volkanovski, all right? Great guy. Anyways, let's get that out of the way. Volkanovski, his pros, experience. Experience on experience, all right? 5 title defenses, 8 championship fights. He's been the distance a ton of times. He's beat Max Holloway by decision 3 times. I don't think Ilia could beat Max Holloway 3 times. But he's got less pressure on him. Kind of, okay? Obviously, he has a ton of pressure on him in terms of the 35-year-old curse, just being an old man, being on probably the tail end of his career. But I say less pressure because he's not putting as much pressure on himself, okay? Ilia is putting a lot of pressure on himself for this fight. He has a lot to live up to. Volk, unfortunately, kind of knows what it's like to lose now. You know, it is what it is. He's still got his family at home, things like that. So I think there is less pressure on Volkanovski, which is a pro, because I don't think he'll fight too stupid, okay? I think Ilia's going to be there to be hit, if you know what I mean. Volk, I think he's got the better fight IQ, okay? That's just a simple fact that's proven, okay? Obviously, with time, Ilia can close the gap, but the fight IQ from Volkanovski, the reads he's able to make on guys like Yair Rodriguez, okay, the way he's able to piece up Max Holloway, the way he's able to escape submissions from Brian Ortega, the fight IQ is insanely high for Volkanovski. Another pro that he has is his leg kicks, okay? Volkanovski has mean leg kicks. And he throws a lot of them too. And Topuria, you know, we'll get into it, but he's heavy on that lead leg. Volk has sick grappling, okay? I know a lot of people think of Ilia as the better grappler going into this. I don't think so. I think Volk could submit fucking Bryce Mitchell, you know what I mean? Volk's ground and pound is probably some of the best ground and pound I've ever seen, okay? The way he dismantled Yair Rodriguez on the ground, the way I predicted him to, ground and pound TKO, it's amazing to see. And the last pro I have for Volkanovski on here that I listed, obviously there's more, is he is an all-time great. This is not your average champion going into a fight, right? This isn't... Who's an average champion? This isn't Leon Edwards' title defense. This isn't a Pantoja title defense. This guy is the GOAT of this division, okay? And a modern GOAT at that. I know a lot of people like to throw Aldo in that mix. Volk beat Aldo. You know what I mean? Volk is a modern day great, which I value a lot more than beating up Mark Hominick, You know what I mean? That's a title defense for Aldo. Kenny Florian, I think, is a title defense for Aldo. So Volk is an all-time great featherweight GOAT, especially right now. Let's get into his cons, okay? Because he just got knocked out in October. Horrible. That was my birthday weekend. That was my birthday present. Every year, on my birthday weekend, the UFC goes to Abu Dhabi and my favorite fighter loses to Islam Makhachev. It's the worst. So he just got knocked out in October. Obviously, that's bad. He is over 35, which you guys know the stat by now. Fighters above 35, they don't do well in these title fights. In this division, at least. A con that Volk has is he sometimes fights with his head first. And I mean that literally. I mean that he kind of lunges in with his big bald head, you know what I mean? And I'm hoping that tactic will change going into this fight. Hopefully he knows that he's not invincible anymore and knows he can't fight with his head lunging in. And another con for Volk is he's fighting someone with his same frame, okay? Volkanovski is used to fighting guys that are much taller than him. He's used to fighting guys who are not much taller, but let's just say more lengthy, right? Like, he's used to fighting Max Holloway, who's got some inches on him. He's used to fighting Brian Ortega. He's used to fighting Islam Makhachev. Yair Rodriguez. All these guys I'm listing are bigger than Volk, and the one time we saw Volk fight someone with a similar frame, damn near a mirror matchup in terms of body and like physique wise, it was Chad Mendes, and he struggled in that fight. Volk got dropped in that fight. Now, of course, he finished Chad Mendes, but Volk is very adjusted to taller guys. So I think that Ilia being the same size as him might throw Volk off a little bit, but I also think that Volk is so much improved from that 2018 Volk that fought Chad Mendes before he even won a belt. Volk is obviously better now than then. So, but it is still something that I would list as a con, okay? Just because of what we've seen. We've seen it be a problem, and it hasn't been... You know, he hasn't fought anyone the same size since Chad Mendes. So, it's still a problem right now. Let's get into Ilia, okay? Ilia's pros and cons. Heavy hands for Ilia, alright? Ilia does have knockout power in the featherweight division, which is a little rare. You know, featherweight guys, they can get KOs, but in the top 5 of featherweight, there are not a lot of KOs that go on, you know what I mean? I think Volkanovski actually has the last 2, being Yair and Korean Zombie. I think I saw that stat somewhere. I could be wrong on that, but you know, when I think of the top 5 featherweight fights that have gone down recently, I think that's what it is. Another pro for Ilia is he has that ignorance is bliss, okay? What do I mean by that? Let me elaborate, okay? He doesn't really know what he's getting into yet. You know what I mean? He doesn't know what's coming. All right? He hasn't fought the top guys, and he has that 2015 McGregor self-belief, okay? I see a lot of people drawing that comparison because of how confident Ilia is. Ilia obviously already thinks he's the champion. He has champion in his bio. His picture is him with the belt. So that is a pro. You do have to visualize these type of things. You know what I mean? Especially for a young, hungry guy who hasn't been the champion yet. It helps, okay? Ilia has great jiu-jitsu. He started off as a jiu-jitsu guy and got better with his hands over time. So he does have great jiu-jitsu. Now, with that being said, I don't know if he has the grappling advantage, but I think in terms of who is more likely to submit who, I think Ilia is more likely to snatch up a submission. You know, I could see Ilia... Do you see Volk doing a triangle choke? A head and arm choke? You know what I mean? I don't. So I have to give that advantage to Ilia. Ilia is also young. Young, physical, strong, hasn't taken a lot of damage yet in his career. So, you know, that's an advantage that we do have to give Ilia, no doubt. Now, his cons are he's heavy on that lead leg. All right. Now, with that being said, that was most prevalent in his fight with Josh Emmett. And Josh Emmett isn't much of a kicker. You know what I mean? He's going to box with you. So that is an adjustment that I think Ilia will be smart enough to make, to not be so heavy on that lead leg. but I think Volk will capitalize on it every chance he gets. Every chance that Ilia will be heavy on that leg, you know, my man Volk is going to be there. Ilia's green in the game, all right? I think he's like 5-0 in the UFC. Obviously, he's undefeated, but he hasn't fought a top 5 guy, all right? I know he's in the top 5. I know he beat Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett is a fraud top 5 guy. Josh Emmett is a guy who got to the top 5, you know, with robberies and shit like that. And I would never consider Josh Emmett's skill set to be top 5. I think he's just a guy who kind of floated up there, you know what I mean, with his power. So he has not fought a top 5 guy, in my opinion, no matter what the rankings say. Okay, and now we also don't know about his cardio in a title fight. I know he went 5 rounds with Emmett. I know he won every single round. He didn't look to be too gassed, so I do believe he has a good gas tank. But in a title fight where the stakes are huge, you know, what if he's losing the first 3 rounds and the last 4? Is he going to be the type of guy? Is he going to Michael Chandler himself and pick himself up by his bootstraps? Or is he going to start to think like, fuck, I'm behind, this fight's getting away from me, and then start to will, you know what I mean? That's a question that we don't have an answer to yet. So guys, those are my pros and cons for both of these guys. Now I'm going to get into a more breakdown. I'm going to turn off my camera so you guys can see my slide. And, you know, I was going to do my round by round breakdown like I typically do, but I think this fight is going the distance. So that would be a lot of slides. And to be honest, I can't tell you how the second minute of round 4 is going to go. You know what I mean? But I think this fight's going to go to the distance. If it doesn't, it's going to be Ilia getting a finish, okay? I see a lot of people picking Ilia by finish, and I was picking Ilia by finish for a long time. But, guys, as I was making this, I kind of had to justify my pick for Ilia a lot more than I did my pick for Volkanovski. All right, now that you've seen my slide, I'm going to put my camera back on. And I'll cover this for now. Okay, so yeah, I changed my mind a lot on this fight. I've been going back and forth, but while I was creating this, I find myself leaning on Ilia Topuria too much and like justifying a pick for him that I don't actually believe. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's got the power. Obviously, he's got the youth advantage. I mean, guys, I have the post on the screen right there. You see 2-28 in title fights. And that's from flyweight to welterweight. If we remove welterweight, no one's won a title fight at this age. I think if anyone can do it, it's Volk. Volk is a generational talent. He is a GOAT. He's a modern-day GOAT, okay? If anyone's going to have the ability to overcome that and really show that veteranship and that fight IQ, it's going to be Volk. So, I'm picking Volkanovski, guys. I was picking Ilia up until an hour ago. You know what I mean? I've been Ilia this whole time, and I don't even necessarily want to see Ilia get humbled. I'm not sitting here like, oh yeah, I can't wait for Ilia to get his ass beat. If Ilia wasn't fighting Volk, I'd be rooting for Ilia. I like Ilia. But if you aren't finishing Josh Emmett like Yair Rodriguez did, and I know MMA math doesn't work, but Volk finished Yair finished Emmett, you get what I'm saying? If Topuria can't finish Emmett, I can't confidently pick you to beat Volk. Now, is Volk chinny? Potentially. You know what I mean? Volk strikes me as the type of guy where if he gets knocked down bad, I don't think he's getting up. You know what I mean? We've seen him get like slightly knocked down. We've seen him drop to one knee and he's been able to get up. But I think at this point, if you knock Volk down, you're probably going to finish him. But I think the power may be a tad bit overrated from Topuria, all right? Obviously, he hits hard. He has KOs at lightweight, and he is a beast. But, you know, you're schooling Josh Emmett. Good look in the division. Not a good look for me to pick you to beat Volkanovski. So, I think if anyone can break the 35-year-old curse, it's Volk, all right? He's so skilled, such an amazing champion, and I hear Volk talk in interviews about how good he feels and such, and that he still feels like he did when he was 30. I'm gonna take him at his word. I know he can't test his chin in training camp, but literally the only thing that's up in the air is the chin. And for me to rely on picking Ilia because I'm relying on Volk's chin not being as good, I would just feel stupid to get it wrong. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people are picking Ilia, but if I were to pick Ilia and get it wrong, I'd feel like a dumbass. You know what I mean? I'm like, how did I doubt Volk? Are you kidding me? This guy went 5 rounds with Makhachev on a full camp, undefeated at featherweight. I'd feel stupid. Whereas if I pick Volk and Topuria wins, I'd be like, wow, like it happened. The changing of the guard, here it is. So, I think Volk's going to win the fight, guys. I think Volk is going to win this fight via a 48-47 decision. I think that I can see 2 things happening here. I think that Ilia may win the first 2 rounds and then start to fade once he hasn't finished Volk, because he's going to be throwing with everything to get him out of there and eventually start to wear out. Or I think like maybe Ilia will win round 1 and then maybe like round 4 or 5 when he's like, fuck, I need to finish. But as of right now, I'm picking Volk. I feel like an outlier here. I've been listening to all the MMA YouTubers talk about how Topuria is going to win this fight by knockout in the first round. I'm like, yo, it can happen. That can happen. But guys, I feel like I'm riding alone. I feel like I'm riding solo, picking Volk. You know what I mean? And I'm doing it, man. I'm picking Volk. I think he has the advantage on the ground. Volk's ground and pound is sick, like I said, and I think he has a good chance to do Ilia like he did Yair, minus a finish. Volk can finish him. Volk can break him over 5 rounds and get a stoppage in the 4th or 5th. But I think Volk, 48-47, unanimous decision. Now, the UFC does want Ilia to win this fight. That's simply true. If you don't believe that, then you probably don't watch a lot. UFC does want Ilia to win this fight, so they might pull some funky business, especially if there's a few knockdowns, and they might try and make it a split decision. They might try and make it a robbery, but I think this fight is going to be a unanimous decision, 3-2 Volk, 60% leaning towards Volkanovski, 40% Ilia Topuria. Saying it out loud now, I'd even go 55% Volk, 45 Topuria. This is such a close fight. But I think if you're picking Topuria, you're relying on Volkanovski's chin to be in the dust. Volk is obviously more skilled. He's obviously got the better fight IQ. And if this fight goes to a decision, I just can't see Ilia outskilling Volk for 5 rounds. If he does, I will be shocked. I will be amazed. So, with that being said, guys, let me know your prediction in the comments below. I know a lot of people are rocking with Ilia, but I also see a lot of people in Instagram comments talking about like, Volk by whatever he wants. Time for Volk to humble this dude. Nah, man. Ilia's got a really good chance to win this fight. Like I said, I was picking Ilia up until I started making this. So, yeah, let me know your predictions in the comments below, guys. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.